Chicken nuggets. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nice try, guys. When you have a specific order and they get it wrong.
Everything on it?
Yes, everything but tomatoes.
Oh, come on!
But sometimes they get that order right. Yes, everything but mayonnaise, please. Boom! No mayonnaise. Wait a second, there's hair in here.
Oh, did you not want the hair either?
When your milkshake is too icy to drink. Thank you so much. How's this even possible?
What? Oh my gosh, that's the same sentiments I feel when I read an essay and the prompt specifically asks the students one question and they give us something totally different. Ah! Anyways, we're going to talk today about the thesis statement. The thesis statement answering the prompt, giving us what we ask for. What is a thesis? A thesis statement is the single most important sentence in the entire essay. And when I say that, I mean if the teacher only read your thesis statement and had to give you a grade, what would you get? Do you say the best part for later on? When I think of a thesis statement, I liken it to a bride in a wedding. She is the most beautiful person at the wedding. No one is going to outdress her or have their makeup done better than her, because she stands out and she wants to. It's her day, just like a thesis statement. It's their paper. They want to stand out and they want to be the best. Number 2, a thesis is the opportunity to communicate your opinion. It's not a fact. It's your assertion, your sentiments on a particular subject in a text. Number 3, it's a written agreement. It's a contract between you and the reader on the content of your response. If you tell me that you are going to talk about one specific item in your essay, that is what I'm expecting. When you go through that drive-through and you order this and you hand them the money, when you get your bag back with your food, you expect certain things in there. That is what a thesis is. So answering a prompt is first of all, the thesis is the last sentence of your intro, and it also indicates a number of body paragraphs you'll have in your essay. So depending on how many specific qualities you include in your thesis, it gives us an idea. Are there going to be 2 body paragraphs, or will there be 3? Here are steps to a thesis. 1, determine the number of questions in the prompt. Sometimes we as writers or as students, we might only answer a part of the prompt or just one piece of the prompt when it's really asking us 3 different things. 2 is we have to articulate our answer in the most thorough and advanced way. We have to use the most mature vocabulary. Also, we need to tag it: title, author, and genre. So who wrote it? What was the title? And was it a poem? Was it a short story? Was it a novel? Was it an excerpt? What was it? I like to start with condition words like even though, even if, despite, in spite of. I think those are great. Also, you want to add, if the prompt requires it, add the phrase in order to, followed by the thematic statement. So we'll see what that looks like in a little bit. So there's 2 types of thesis statements. One is the open or implicit thesis, or the closed or explicit thesis. So for the open thesis, right, or the implicit, you are going to be basic and general. It lacks opinions, details, it lacks topics and or reasons. We want to avoid the open thesis because that's if you haven't done your research and you're making like a general statement. We really want to avoid that. The rubric really requires us to be a little bit more explicit, and it needs to be a closed thesis. And here's what it looks like. It includes an assertion, it includes a reason, it's broad enough, specific enough, and it unifies the assertion with the reason. Also, it includes the subject and your sentiment, what you're talking about and how you feel about it. It's something that can be proven, it's worthy of an argument, it can be supported throughout the text. You use an adjective, adverb, noun, and a verb. We'll talk about what that looks like in just a moment. Misconceptions about a thesis. A lot of times, well, with the timed right, you don't have a whole lot of time, but there are occasions where you have a thesis, you thought about it, and you're writing about it, but something else comes of your writing, because I know even when I write, my ideas come as I write. So it's okay to go back later and tweak or change your thesis a little bit. Second misconception is your thesis statement is not your theme. It's not a thematic statement. Those are 2 different things. The thematic statement would be the idea or the message that the author is trying to portray in the text. Now, the thesis, depending on how they phrase it and whether or not they're asking for the meaning of the text, you can include the theme in your thesis. And the thesis is not a topic sentence. So it says the misconception is a topic sentence. Those are two different things. It might be the topic sentence is a part of the thesis. It's one component of the thesis, but it isn't the same thing. So let's take a look here, getting it right. This is a question or a prompt that we could look at here where you are being asked several different things, right? And this is what the rubric looks like for the AP scoring guide. So we're looking for, in a well-constructed essay, analyze how the author portrays the complex experience of two sisters. That's one thing they're asking for between Penelope and Irene with their family and society. And then it's also asking us to consider the literary elements of style, tone, and the selection of detail. What details are we going to select from the text to support our thesis statement? And so if you look at the rubric, it's very clear. You either get a point or you don't. You either have it or you don't. You go through that drive-through, you either give her what you're being asked or you don't. There's no in between, right? So getting it right, the prompt. So let's see when you get it right. Let's see what it looks like. Woo! It's lit, or as they say, on fire, right? So here is a sample thesis. Even though the two sisters seemingly possess a gratifying life, that's that condition I was talking about when we were talking about giving the explicit or closed thesis. W.D. Howell's novel excerpt, TRSL, illustrates a rather piteous tone through the oppressive existence of the women within their familiar context, alongside the juxtaposition of the alienating nature that their lack of access to society yields. Okay, so this one says, I like this one because it has lots of adjectives in there. There's verbs. So through the use of chilling descriptive imagery and vivid personification, the narrator successfully, there's the adverb, conveys the unmerciful nature of the cold to enhance Lutis Johnson's temporal and sensory experiences. So if you look at the prompt, take a few minutes to look at it. I like how this individual numbered each of the components that are being asked in the writing prompt, and then they also layered it or numbered it in the thesis statement. If you look at it, this is the introduction. So if you read the whole thing, that's the intro. The very last sentence is the thesis statement, and you see the noun, you see the verbs, you see the descriptive language, you see the adjectives and the adverbs in there to help communicate the thesis. Hope that was helpful.